Hey there, welcome to AWT again with Try, where we talk about men's wellness and the topics that concern men's development in today's. I have here with me.
Sir,
I also have here with me.
hello.
So on today's topic or other discussion, going to gender roles. Like, what do you feel are gender roles, and how do you feel these supposed gender roles have affected society at large in like our today's atmosphere? So, for me, anyways, I would say to some level of extent, although I wouldn't necessarily say gender role is like a thing that should be applied all around. You get
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
there are some situations whereby this suppose will apply because maybe the situation at the moment will require a particular person in the relationship depending on what they can offer to take up that role. For example, now we'll talk about security now in a relationship or in a home or in the society rather. Although it will be more of the men first
Yeah.
because of their physique
Physiology.
and other reasons that can be brought into the whole thing to consider. And then when it comes to being kind and taking care of the family environment, you can also try and I believe you will understand that that's where the female or rather the woman will come in to make sure that that particular role is played out successfully because of the kind of traits or because of the kind of characteristics that they possess that will enable them to successfully take out that role. You get?
Yeah.
But I would also like to point out that in as much as I would not say that gender role should apply or how gender role has affected some other parts of life, like if we look into our political decisions that have over time been made, you would understand that it was mainly the man that will make every political decision that tends to happen in the house
Yeah.
or in the family or in the society, like wherever. Like it's always the man first. So over time, we would all agree that most of these decisions were not necessarily good ones. Like the choices that were made were not necessarily good ones. Like so, however, one way or the other, it tends to have made society difficult. So I don't think gender role should be a thing that should be considered in that atmosphere because if we look into today's society now, like because of the equality that has now become a thing in this part of life, like everybody is considered equal now to make certain choices in equal levels, unlike before now. So I feel it has also allowed a certain development. Like things are now probably easier. There are good side of these things and there are also bad side. I also want you to keep that in mind. But I feel in today's society, the fact that there is this equality now, it has allowed for some decisions to ascertain the like become better. Like when you make it, it goes like a long way on like how things were before. So what are you going to like some of the qualities or some of the things that you would say gender roles are and how they are applied?
Well, to me, I feel like this issue of gender role sometimes is overhyped and sometimes it's still oversimplified because yeah, I don't even think it's something that's supposed to be an issue in our society. Because if I actually want to approach, if I actually want to approach this matter, I cannot actually start from the difference between a man and a woman, because at the end of the day there is always this similarity in humanity. So there's really, for me, there's really no difference in equality between man and woman except the ones that culture has created. And then we also have the issue of physique too. You cannot that one you cannot deny that.
So, but at the end of the sorry, in the I can agree that if we are going to statistically get the correct answer to the benefit of physics, we'll say it goes to the man You get, but there are
not
also
necessarily.
women.
No,
Yeah, no, I'm
not.
getting to the point that there are also women that are actually physically strong. You get, like most of them can actually, to a very large extent. I can't say total 100% in the physique qualities. Now I'm talking about. I can't say they are 100% similar to that of men, but I've seen a lot of women that actually like they have that physique to also battle with some men, and they will have the physique to also belittle other men. You get, so.
It's the thing is from this stuff that you said, it will be quite silly, to judge a fish by its ability to fly. Understand? You cannot necessarily bring the matter of strong when it comes to women because that is not their real genealogy. Understand, or whatever they
So
call it.
I
But in that aspect, there are also things women can do that men cannot do.
cannot. Yeah,
So
true.
I think they kind of complement each other.
True,
True.
true,
So
yeah,
I
true.
want
I
to
very much
state.
agree to that. Like
Yes,
for example
and a
now,
lot of people do that a lot.
Okay.
okay,
True. I want to state first, before I start, that I am not anti-feminist. Please, I am not
okay,
anti-feminist. Therein so as well, I am not fully a feminist because these days you can never even tell what feminism is all about anymore.
Exactly, that's
crazy.
So, but that being the case, I am of a strong opinion that we can base it any how we like, oh, like that there's gender equality, and I know there should be gender equality, but
yeah.
right from the core of nature, I don't think there's anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, this 50% might match this 50%.
So they
Yeah.
ameliorate each
Yes,
other.
yes,
That's what I'm
but
getting at.
it is not based on the same level of decision. Where this person has a 70 score, this person might have a
30.
30 or 20. So
Yes.
their strength differs, and that is my own opinion. I think right from family to society and all of that. I feel like yes, we can say there's gender equality, but it is absurd for us to feel like women can do what men can do and men can do what women can
Yeah,
do. It is
exactly,
True, true,
exactly.
true.
too.
So
Sounds
if we're actually of that opinion, then there's this supposed gender role. Is that not actually?
there is. Yes,
So
there is.
if we can all agree that there are gender roles or there's such a thing as gender roles, then I would like for us to see how we can point out some of these gender roles and how they have affected life and society from the past, and then maybe we can trace down how much
Has
change
changed
has,
over time.
yeah, over time, and
Okay.
then how these changes are they making things better, or are they making things a little bit extra difficult, or like you get.
Mm.
So from your experience over time, I mean like we all live for the country, like in
No, no.
Nigeria like this now. So everybody go agree say there's such a thing as gender role in Nigeria. So
Yes, yes.
if there's such a thing as gender role in Nigeria, then what are these roles, and who should play these roles, and how do they affect how society works?
But this gender role that we are talking about is not some definite thing among
Yeah.
within every
Like it's not
society.
static.
No, it's not. It's
One
not that it
complements
is.
the other.
My point is like it's more of a cultural thing than a
Oh, okay.
physical thing because
Okay,
there are some society that women are assigned with the role that in other
Men
society
are
it
assigned
is
to.
men
mm,
that
yeah, assign
apart
those
from this
roles.
physical labor because if you okay, for example now if you really want to check uh, like uh, our predecessors our ancestors the way they run their if you check the way they run their society and all of that you see that okay fine there are gender roles and within those society you see men and this is where a lot of people are getting it wrong like where you talk about okay like for example now in
Part
this
of the
part of
world.
this current time now in Nigeria you hear a lot of people talk about that it is men that are actually the providers economically per se. As I'm just trying to build the point where I say okay it
Mm,
is a cultural
cultural
thing
thing.
not
Necessarily, it
not
should not be
necessarily
men.
like
Like men
all
should
the
not,
time.
yeah, be
Like people say it now that it's a must, but it is actually the culture
culture.
that says it is a must, not
Most
because that is
people,
how it
yeah.
is. Because if you look at like I was saying our forefathers, you see that most of the time our forefathers the male were predominantly political in the role they play in
So
society,
yeah.
because they tend to like manage the value, the culture. And then in the home, I'm talking about the home
Um,
as well, and as well as the community, you see men tending towards the economical
America.
part of men were women were like the head of economy.
Okay,
But
so
in
they
that
handled more of the economic aspect of
economic
society.
aspect of society,
Society.
not necessarily all, because like I said, Igbo, Benin,
It
Yoruba, they
depends
all
on the
have
culture
different
and
culture, you
culture.
understand? But in some culture, you see that okay, this is how it is.
True.
That women were actually the
Handling
economical
this
providers of the home, while men were political in nature. You understand? So, but today now it has changed. So it is not a definite thing. And I believe where we should be reconsidering is when a particular culture is not actually working for a society. So
society.
the people need to
Reevaluate
reevaluate and act
on
accordingly.
this
Reshare, redistribute the roles. Understand?
to
Because
make society and the home function efficiently.
function efficiently. So
Yeah.
it should not just okay, even if you want to talk about like us now as individuals. And within our, if we eventually get married, young men,
Yeah.
single, some of us are single and some of us are not.
Single. Single.
But
Single.
if we want to talk about how we manage our home, it will become a problem where you have this, I don't know, it depends on, that's why I said culture matters a lot. What your belief system, your value, everything you hold. Maybe if you want to choose a wife, you should choose a wife based on somebody that shares the same belief,
As
value,
you.
so that you guys will synchronize in how you think. Because if one person says, I'm a man, this is how it should be, and then you get married to a woman that her own belief is contrary,
So what
then
you
it's going to
have.
conflict at the end of the day.
True.
You understand? It's going to conflict, and the marriage might not even last. You understand? So what's actually causing that issue that will make the marriage not last? Is it the roles or the ideology of the individuals?
Look, so
So one, sorry, let me just quickly say
okay.
that. So one, I would think, or rather, I would say the ideology. I would agree with you, the ideology. But then again, I would also like to say, I don't know if I should add the virtue that these persons
Possess.
possess. So it's
Okay.
like, do you get
Yes.
like the virtue necessarily in this matter now? It should actually be something that should be considered because if how do I make my point now? I'm just trying to see if I can put my words together. Like, if you are with someone that doesn't necessarily understand that these are the kind of things he should do,
Okay.
like, know when to act
Yes.
on your role because of how much virtue you possess. Like, if I'm using the right words anyway,
Yeah.
like how much you can fit into that particular situation. You get like you put yourself there because you know you are supposed to put yourself there because of what you possess, not necessarily because of what culture says. You
Yes.
get
Yes.
like you
Yes.
are saying anyway. So I just feel
So I wanted to see, based on what you just said, I think there's a logic behind it. Like there's an idea behind the reason to gender roles.
Yes.
My my opinion is that of the fact that in a family, I don't think we have to do this is what a man has to do and what a woman has to do. Over time,
Mm.
different, like you said, different tribes
it
over time
evolves over time.
Evolves.
Like
have
Yes.
given different prescriptions on this is how a woman is and this is how a man is. So I think the modern day marriage system now, family system, is more of a compatibility
Yes.
thing where whether we like it or not, we need to accept that most of these things are actually roles that each person is supposed to play.
Exactly.
But just because of the fact that there may be a little change in society as per preference to your family setting, in
Okay.
aspects in reference to who brings more, who stays the
true.
more outside, who works more, who goes through the more stress and all of that, then these responsibilities can shift. They
Okay.
can be reshaped.
Yeah.
True.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yes, they
Yes.
can be reshaped into, like, say, a family that has a wife that has a
That's a nine
nurse,
to five job,
a
something
nine
like
to
that.
five job, and probably the man is just a businessman who goes to work in the morning and comes back in the evening. If your wife is busy for so and so time of the week, and you as the man you are free, we all know. Not, I'm not trying to be, like I said, I'm not anti-feminist, but we know that half the time it is the woman's duty, not like anybody's forcing her to do it, or if she doesn't do it, you can employ a house help or anything. But the woman is the maker of the home. There's a reason why the woman has been the maker of the home right from time. If you force a man to do motherly duties in maintaining a home, you get trash. He might be able to manage for a while, but not for long,
because he does not possess the kind of
the characteristics that it takes
to fit into that situation.
Exactly my point.
No matter how much he tries to force himself,
he can cover for a bit.
Actually.
Likewise, a man is supposed to be the one who does a certain level of decision making or arrangement in the setting of the house. If the man leaves that place, he might come back in on the long run, and it probably would be the same shape, or the woman has done just little with it to the extent that she can. Do you understand? So I think it is also a man's duty to do that. A woman can try to adjust to it for a certain period of time, but she will not be able to do it for long, which means the man has to step in that way. So I just feel like in our today modern society, these things can shift, but it doesn't change the fact that a male's role half the time is a male's role, and a woman's role is a woman's role.
True. Like I can also give another example now. Like when we talk about this work time, for example, like growing up, actually my mom had a 9 to 5 job. So my dad was actually more of the one doing the picking up from school and dropping her at home, and then because he, like he said, like the man has to be a businessman or own his own business. In situations like that, but in situations whereby it's also like reverse, the man is not the one doing the 9 to 5, and then the woman is pretty much having her own business. Or if they are both doing 9 to 5, like if they can intershift, like schedule, like I pick them up from now to now, like I feel it's a more sensible thing to do, because it will also keep a balanced relationship at work, in the sense that if you're a 9 to 5, you don't have to Monday to Friday give the excuse of going to pick the child from school. Like it's kind of gives your employer like a form of unreliable feeling towards, like it affects work ethics. So
in the marriage setting, I feel like it is more of this definite role responsibility. It is more of like the ability for the couple to have a conflict resolution
and understanding.
Yes, understanding.
Certain level of
In these marriage settings, I know, yes, a woman. The thing is, regardless of this thing that we are talking about, it's also important that everybody knows their role. Even if there may actually be need for conflict resolution and understand, the woman has to know that, okay, this is the responsibility, and if your husband helps you to do it once,
It doesn't mean
he's not the one that is going to step in
over
does
time.
not do it over time. Now it will become a problem.
I mean, sorry, I mean, there's a reason why over time it's always been men going to war.
True. Yes.
Do you understand? They can accept women into the military.
Good example.
They can accept women into the military.
There are some other cultures that
allow women.
No, we had. I know via history there's been history of a woman king now. Yes, that was where I wanted to make reference to. But we know that on a larger scale, whether we are being biased about it, there's a reason why men are the ones that tend to go to these things. These days, we have female soldiers, but how many of them do you see up front fighting? Like, I mean, they can send some of them, but the larger number will still be
build yourself to
men.
That you have to be able to possess the characteristics of that particular infantry job, for example.
And it might take 1 out of 10
for them to get. So that's why you don't find more.
Do you understand? So
that's the physiological part of a man is a man and a woman is a
if
woman.
you go into
that's physiological.
Now I'm going social now, because I feel like in families like we are boxing it, but then when you come to healthcare sector, like caregivers, you find mostly women in that aspect, because they do a better job at
actually
caregiving. I think if we check,
don't you think it's more of social industrialization.
No, I know that men do caregiving. I'm just saying based on statistics. If you want to look at it based on statistics, now you find more women in that line of work than men.
Yes, true.
And there's a reason for that. You might call it logical ideology, but me and you know, see as boys who will be now if we go hospital. If men don't want to give you injection, you go prefer female nurse give you injection. So it's not that I'm weird or anything. I feel like women have that. No, I feel like women have that. They have that ability to take care of you. I mean, I'm comfortable
it's
sitting.
natural for them. Like
I'm comfortable sitting in front of a doctor.
But if you want to actually talk about this career, I mean, I agree with you. Yes, that's how it is in our society.
But do you think it's cultural based? Like
this career, this career stuff. I feel like it is actually. It is not. It is.
Okay, sorry to say.
From the society.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, but picture women going to war and men being the first aid people that are going to rescue and give first aid and taking care of them. Like the way their wars used to be back in the days. So picture women going to war and men being the ones to go and give care and fetch water and do all those band-aids and all of that for the women.
You cannot set if one side is predominantly women, the other side is predominantly men.
Exactly. Like you can find men in this line of work.
Women 10 times more than the men. They will still push out the women.
But you can also point out that
I feel like most of those things are from nature. It's not.
You can give examples like the one battles anyway, like Amazon.
Women.
Yeah.
You don't know the Amazon.
Amazon is fiction.
If it's fiction, but let's just have that mindset, or rather, like this. If you made an example of that woman king, actually
the women people, yeah.
And they won battles anyway. So,
but if we want to talk about, because we see a lot of women these days, these they are feminine. Like you said, we don't really know what the feminism movement is.
Anyway,
nobody knows.
I'm not against it, but I can't really say what it is about now.
Like, if you think should be done to that, what is it actually pushing for? Like, I'm not kicking against it, and I'm not supporting it, but I just want to give an opinion. Like, it's not the fan. It's not a problem.
This I can't see on camera because everything about women is actually very complex. So I don't expect.
No, there are some men that are feminists. It's not even about the women. Like, it's the movement. Like, what do you want?
Like, movement is not supposed to be for women.
And you know, see the thing.
True. Yes, now it's for them now.
There was a way he analyzed this stuff. I cannot really say exactly how he said it,
but you can try anyway.
I can just say from how I understood what he was saying. He was saying that the movement is like women, they want things to be handed. For example, if you want to bring it to political landscape now, and you see a woman and a man running for a particular political position, you see that man going around doing campaigns and ensuring that yes, he is worthy of that position. But women want to take this feminist stuff and say, because I am a woman, you should just, and you should not put in those work and all of that.
But most of them actually put in the work, but don't become satisfied that.
I'm not talking about the women, I'm talking about the movement. The movement is saying, give me. Because
I mean, there are a lot of women that are spoiling the name of feminism.
You understand?
Yeah.
See, I will not lie. Over time, growing up, I felt like there can be a balance between male and female in the society. I've never been against the idea because sometimes I look at females around me and I'm like, can I have the same opportunity? Why?
True now, yeah.
I even rather work with some females sometimes, because, you understand. But over time, looking around, I think just because of the kind of society we find ourselves now, there's not this wide spread of feminism and everybody has their take in a way that it favors them. So any woman who finds herself lacking behind in something and needs an excuse for it will just come out and say, as a feminist, this is supposed to be handed over to me, and it is really spoiling the trend of feminism. Sorry to say, I'm not against it. I've always been a supporter of equal prowess, but
this is not just the movement. This is the fault for
individuals.
See the smallest unit.
True.
Family, because you see, if a man wants to train his child, he tells the child that, like a son, if he's a son, he will try to ensure that child understands life, that nothing can be handed. You have to work for everything.
Yes.
Understand? You have to be strong, you have to be knowledgeable so that you can go for the things you want. But when it comes to the place of women, the teaching is actually different because now you kind of give them the idea of maybe you just have to do this and do that so you can get a good husband that will take care of you. Not necessarily teaching the child to strive
Try
for
for their
what she
own.
wants. Do you understand? So that mindset too is what we need to. Okay, fine. You need to.
So when they
you need to
finally
teach
start
them how
getting
to
it,
be a
they feel
good
like they
wife.
don't owe anybody anything anymore. Yes, now
Yes, now,
because
yes,
they've been
now.
taught that you don't need to stress for these things. So when
Exactly.
they
Yeah. To
finally
be handed to
stress
you.
and do
That's
the
what.
hard work, they feel like I don't owe
So
anybody.
we're all agreeing that it's the training that most of these young
Yeah,
women, or
yeah,
rather
yeah.
Not
these,
not always.
not always the
Situation.
situation, but some certain situation. But then again, in this whole gender role thing, I feel the feminist group they forget that before these things, these roles are taken up, like your physiology, your biological structure plays a lot of importance, like for these things
And
to
I don't
work
even
out.
feel like we
Like
should even say it like that. Yeah, little, almost, let me not say no, but there's no
yeah,
limitation, but there's just little
little
limitation to what you
limitation.
can do as a woman.
True.
It's just your mindset. Yeah, if you no, there's nobody stopping you from being president of the country.
You
But
are
me
coming
as a
from a
guy, as a
political
young
field.
man, my aim is to be the president.
President.
I know I have to work for it. I know I have to go through the steps to be able to get there. So as a woman, you should not be thinking it's going to be handed to you. Understand? If you want it, go
So
for it. Work, do the work as well. Understand? That's what society is saying. Don't bring your feminist bullshit and say they should hand it to you.
yeah.
You want to be president. You
No, I know a lot of successful
But
women.
there are actually a lot of these
There's
like
girls.
like
Like
yeah.
that.
I'm not,
They are
rather,
notable
Girls.
and this
we're not basing this
stuff.
whole discussion
No, 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 no.
on feminists
Feminist.
as women.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
there are men that are also
You,
feminists, but we'll not just mention them. Anyway, Sha,
but you heard of that
I'm not against the
Zenith
movement
Bank,
anyway.
the current Zenith CEO, the woman is the current Zenith Bank CEO.
Okay, so what about her?
No, like if that woman comes out to be a feminist, with all I have in me, I will support her because yeah, she has done all the work. You can see from her records
she
that
went through the process, and she
and
was
yes,
able to
you understand. So
There are a lot of notable women that we can start calling. Me, I know of this. Is it not this?
Chinua daughter,
Yes, that one.
Okay.
We know of a minister of what was that?
Okoje Iweala.
Okoje Iweala. We know of
Yeah.
there's this other woman that I actually like is this Tunimelu Zote.
Okay.
Whether Transcorp.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really know her name. The
Yeah.
woman, I used to admire the way she lives her life.
Yeah.
I think she.
in as much as they will agree that there are little or no physiological difference or
No,
limitation. Okay, there are a lot of physiological difference, but
Yeah.
limitation in that aspect of
Socially.
like it's not a limiting factor in this aspect of role play in society whereby women and men are placed in situations whereby they have to make important decisions in the political realm. Like there's no limitation to these things, but in the aspect of some side of life that we all know requires efforts, physical efforts, and how your mind is structured personally and by culture, like plays a very important part in these gender roles. Like you get, for example, now if uh, it requires okay, let's say no, rather, let me give this example of this boxing that happened in this transgender and like you get.
Yeah.
Now you can see the difference in strength in like in the physical part of like competing in like it's
Event.
more of the man, however they want to put it, like you get like and that part. So in as much as we can agree that in the political structure there are no limitations to who can fit into these roles that needs to be played out in that
You know the
part.
limitation I see. It's still, for example, in Nigeria now, if it's not just the women that need to change their mindset, it's more like a general thing. because you and I know that okay, if a man and a woman comes out to contest, more likely you
Pretty
will
much.
be geared towards the side of the man
So
instead of considering the qualification of
of
both
both
parties.
parties, true.
It should not be a matter of gender anymore. It should be a matter of who is more qualified for this position. I think that's what they actually want anyway.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be run. I don't have an issue.
Yeah, I don't have an
the
issue with
movement
that.
is supposed that's what the movement is supposed to end.
But
the
the
way
way
our the
actually
problem
going
is
about it properly. I don't think
no,
that's
no, it's not. It should not be the power. It is not the problem of the pioneers of the movement.
Exactly.
You understand? It's a matter of
We are making it feel like men are losing male roles because of actions of the other gender, and it is not true. Men, I read somewhere, sorry to say, but over time I feel like men are becoming weaker over time.
That's true. That's true.
Whether we like to admit it or not,
Yeah.
there's this. A man is a man. I don't know how to explain, but a man is just a man. And these days, I feel we have men who they are. I don't know. I don't want to say pride, but I want to say something has been stepped on for them, so they are not fully. A man's worth is now based on a whole lot of things that it wasn't based on formally. Do you understand? And that is the reason why this other gender feels that this is a shoe that I can easily fit in. Because the reason why they did not drag then was because they know that even if they try to the highest, they cannot fit in.
yes, yes.
Do you understand? These days we have weaker men who feel like, I can do to my best, and then we'll continue like this. And the woman feels like, I can do better. Why will I settle for this? And you people should give us the same opportunity. Now, I'm not saying mentally, I don't feel like anybody is more than anybody mentally. So when it comes to mental status, there can be equality of male and female gender.
I don't think there's any limitation like
Mentally, yeah,
There's
that's
no
what I'm.
limitation mentally.
Yes.
Actually.
So I feel like where the limitations come are from, like you said, the genes. No, physique.
Physiological.
Naturally, there's a reason why a man is a man and a woman is a woman. So if nature has already demarcated both roles from the start, chromosome X and X and X and Y, then why should we not come and say we are the same thing when even from nature don't tell us say, I mean, we can have equal strengths and equal disadvantages, no doubt. That is why this one has to complement this one. But when it comes to that gender role, so you get why man the man and you get
to ensure that society works fine. Like in today's society now, you can understand that there are some men that are not necessarily fit to play into some certain male roles that require the woman now to now step up and because she is capable of doing it and it's a fault on the man for not being able to do it. So I feel we as men we should try and understand how certain roles that we are going to play is going to ensure that society is working fine. And if these roles are not being done by the male, for example, now like the lacks, the person that is going to try to fill these laps now, like can this person play this role to the fullest? So I feel men should do better. And there are also some men out there anyways that they don't know how to handle some kind of certain manly situation because of the way they are. Like some men are too calm, like they won't necessarily put up a fight out there, and it is more like a role thing, like it's a gender specific role thing for you to provide security in these instances. So where these men are not able to, like I feel it's a lack that every man should try and feel like you should be able to provide security. So do you get? So in instances whereby these roles are now met now by the woman, like in as much as she's capable of course doing these things, like I don't think on the long run if she tends to keep up with playing this particular role that is not necessarily in her physiology per se now to handle, it is going to affect her over time. Do you get? Like that's just my opinion anyway, like because I believe it becomes like a mental thing, like she starts to think about how she's going to play out or put herself in the position to handle a responsibility that will, like I would say, will cause her a lot of stress. That her body cannot necessarily handle this kind of stress continually, just like the body of a man will handle the stress. You get? So I feel gender role is a thing, like it's a thing we should actually look into properly in our today's society, and how we feel you putting yourself in the position of making this decision because of it is gender based, it is required of you because you are able to do this thing because of your characteristics as a person, like you get. So what would you say are some of these gender roles that have over time like played out and that has happened from before and how they affected before? And then what are some of the roles that are in our today's society that you feel are okay and should be continued, or rather you support, and then some of these roles you feel should be looked into that are necessarily supposed to be changed? Like, what do you guys think?
Well, I feel like the essence of gender role, it's organization. Understand, in society, it is to ensure that
Sure.
there is
There's
structure.
a working structure.
In family, it is to ensure that there is a working
Working
structure.
structure.
In any a form of establishment, and those rules are to ensure structure. Understand? So if we want to see it from that perspective, we should um be able to, it will be easier for us to be flexible with these things, you understand? Because
Sure.
I feel like society these days, because a lot of people jump on what they have no idea, what they have no understanding
Standing up
about.
about.
Men too, the same thing. Like men are becoming weaker because they don't understand
Economically, actually, men are becoming weaker.
economically.
Can we talk
Most men,
about?
like most
Almost.
men, actually, in our today's society, economically, most men are becoming weaker. Why? Let me say this why. Because I feel at one point in time, it was culturally based for the man. Like we know these
Population.
things evolved over time. Like it was cultural for the man to provide economically. If you need money, you always go to the main counterpart. If you need money,
It is
always.
cultural. I won't say it is
Eh,
cultural because me, I gave an instance just now. It is not necessarily cultural.
cultural.
That's why I said we don't have to be static with these things.
Before, like
It is
I'm talking
There's
flexible
making
about, I'm
reference
making
to
reference, I'm not talking
back
about now
then.
today, so I'm talking about before. It was cultural
for men
for
to.
men
To
to
be the
be the one to
providers.
provide
So
economically.
so 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 sorry.
You
When
get,
is before
Wait.
you're talking about?
like
Let me add. Sorry. I want to put in when it means before. Now, we
generations
go.
ago, bro.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Before, women go to the farm.
Mm.
They do the farming with the daughters. Men, I think men go to dig the ridges. Then women go to do the planting and the harvesting and the weeding. Do you understand? Now you might call that economical,
But
but
when it comes to handling the
it is the man who
finance,
provides. No, sorry, but
No,
it
no,
is the man
not
who provides the farmland in the first
no, it is
instance.
community that provides the
But
farmland.
it
It's
is the
just that
man
they
who
don't.
owns it.
The farmland passes
It is owned by the
patriarchally,
man.
or
patriotically.
Yes,
whatever they call
yes,
it,
I will
only
agree.
men.
But it is
But it was not
And it is a
necessarily like
structure
that
because
for all
they did that
communities.
not because it is like a this is how it's supposed to be. It was a structural thing.
yeah.
Understand? It
I
was
know,
what was
but
working for them then.
yes, that's why I
But if
said
you even look at what I was saying, the money after they produce this thing, who goes to the market?
the
Women.
woman.
Understand?
But
After she goes to the market, she has the money. Who buys the stuff at home with the money that they made?
Women
Women. So if you're saying it in all ramification, it was women that were in charge of
of the economical part.
economy at that time.
but I was actually
But
making
now,
reference.
that's what I'm saying. It should not be, static. It should be flexible.
It's
Now
flexible, of course.
that
Now,
system cannot work again.
True.
It
true,
has to change.
true.
Understand? But within the change and all of that, we still now, instead of something that should be flexible, we're not making it static. In that
But
we're not saying okay, it is men.
Men,
If okay, what about if this
this
system changes
sorry,
changes.
now?
sorry, I want
Won't
to
you
Okay,
change
I
with
want to
it?
say something. If you bring that to modern day, a lot of the sales work that goes on today, both in marketplaces and all of that, is handled by women.
men, true.
Does that now mean that
Then I mean,
those families now are all sustained by the woman?
no, no, that's
No,
what
no,
the
no,
system
no.
has changed. And you cannot compare that system with
No,
now.
but you know why? You know why? I feel like right from time, if it was the woman in power, then with all of that financing,
It was not the woman with power.
No,
So-
I'm
See,
saying,
see what was guiding.
anyways,
See what was there
I'm
was there
saying
was
that
a clear structure.
that economic structure now. I'm just saying at the end of the day, you find out that he was not far from the truth. At the end of the day, I feel like the woman does the economic sale and all of that too. But I feel like at the end of the day, it is the man
Man
who
that-
owns the provision of
Okay,
the land.
let
where
me
you go
quickly
to
make
farm.
my point
It is
anyways.
the man who owns
My
the
example
land that you take the yam from to go and sell.
was
It is the
coming
man that
from a
makes
previous
you just sorry,
generation.
Like, yeah,
So
it is the man that provides the house because he goes to get married to you and he brings you to his own house.
Okay.
If you are Nigerian,
Okay, see the
most
thing.
parts of Africa safe.
See.
He brings you to his own house.
Yeah.
You go and cultivate his land and his farm.
Mhm.
So he then doesn't necessarily bring the food from the ground, but he gives you all you need for you to be able to produce that. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
so it was
And then-
cultural for one to
Okay,
provide labor.
let's say
For example,
let's say-
now-
let's say I understand you and you're kind of right. If you let's try and compare the old system and now.
Now.
Understand? Government now kind of control the metrics of economy.
Yeah.
But who is running it? It's not government. Understand? Government just try to sustain it,
Yeah.
make policies that will keep sustaining it. But you have businessmen, the likes of Dangote controlling cement. It's him that is in charge, not government. But government can make policies that will
Policies.
affect him. Sure, you understand. But who is actually controlling the economy? It is businesses. That's why you have big businesses, small scale businesses, what I will call it, all the many businesses. That's economy for you. It is not political.
No,
Sure, you understand. So if you want to relate it to how it was with, we can see it from different angle, from different scale. We can see it from within the family, we can see it from society. So if we want to look at our forefathers, the society has already placed structure and a very clear gender role. You understand?
Yeah.
The man is in charge of the home and everything. He owns it. That's why you will see men marrying more than one
One
wife.
wife.
Then it was for economic benefits. You understand? So they will have more women to farm their land and everything. But who was in charge of the farming, the selling? It was women. They were controlling the economic at that time. But it was men that were in charge,
of the
policy making and all of that. So the role was clear. Sure, so it's not. I'm not saying that men were less of men
Men.
at that time, but let's be rational or let's be logical about
About it.
this stuff. That's what I'm saying. Sure, understand?
Mm.
Women were clearly in charge of economy. There's no
Economics.
way you will say it because without them, that system would not have worked.
Very true.
So they have their own
Would-
role to play. That's what I'm saying. Now, what we should be talking about is not this is how it was then in our forefathers' days, and this is how it must be now.
No. What actually
that's
getting
what a
at?
lot of. I'm not talking about us
Us
now.
now.
That's
So,
what,
yeah.
that's like the ideology. You see a lot of people making.
It needs
how
to
was it
change
in
in
our
their forefathers.
time? We
Like
are
it
changing,
cannot
we are
work
changing.
like that. Like
say
it needs
the
to
changes-
work
There needs to be a
with
balance.
time.
That's
Like
what I was saying.
it has to fit into
There
the
has to be a
current
balance.
You need
structure.
to think how would it work. You understand?
It needs to be
And
balanced.
then be able to okay, why do you think China and most of all those Russian countries, once it gets to a particular age, as a man, you must go to a military school.
School.
You understand? You must go through military training
You need to
at
be
that
able to
time.
provide
Why are they
security
doing
now.
it? You understand? They have a clear goal of okay,
What
this is
gender
if the
roles
time
supposed
come
to-
for where we need strong men. Let us ensure that we create
Create
strong men.
strong
So they
men.
created that system to ensure that they have strong men.
True.
That's what we should be doing as well, creating
Sure.
system to ensure things, not necessarily saying this is supposed to be and it will be like that. It should not be static
It should be
in role
flexible.
assigning. It should be flexible to create system that will work.
Very true.
And that's my point.
But flexible in, like you said, flexible. It doesn't necessarily mean the being static shouldn't be applied. Like should not be applied in some certain areas because you cannot be flexible in all areas.
What
You
kind of
get-
areas are you talking about?
Okay, for example now, like there are some roles that are necessarily, like you said, anyways. Like if you need strong men, you have to like that cannot be flexible. If you need a strong military base system now, it will necessarily or it should be one that is composed of men. Like, you get why? Because of the benefit of the physique. Like, you get
But
that's
fighting military now, the dynamics of military these days is
this
even changing.
is
You
changing.
understand? It
Sure.
does not necessarily you don't necessarily mean
Mm,
Food
men in the
soldiers
men,
and
field,
all of
foot
that.
fits.
soldiers and all of that. There are if we even want to look at it now, it's more of mental. So the it should not even be we should
No,
not even
and
be considering men in
that is
that.
Mm,
why gender
Except
equality
unless
keeps
emotion,
gaining.
sha.
That is why gender equality keeps gaining more
yeah.
ground as time goes by, because as time goes by, we are taking away from the old time when we need to do a lot of stressing and working to get things done. There are easier means to
Ways
get
to.
to these means, and so a woman does not necessarily need you to do all of that for her when she can do it by herself.
Self.
Mhm.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
But now, at the end of the day, it comes back into the range of society and family. I still feel like even when a woman does not need a man to do this and a woman to do this, because we all cohabit in the same structure, be it family or society, because we start cohabiting, I think there should be a not necessarily direct rule, but there should be a balance of okay, this is how I will assist. Now
This,
you can do this, but this is how you assist when it comes to this in family and
that's true.
society.
Like,
And this is how me too I will assist in family and society. I mean, we can take a look at other countries and the way they do their things.
but this system now, if you put it like that, I would say it's now based on family preference. Like, what the assignment of roles for this family is not what
I
this other family would apply. Like, you
Yeah,
get it?
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's now something of its dynamic should change over time, because I feel if everybody maybe it's something that will work out, because it's now going to develop this similar ideology about how things should be structured. But at the end of the day, there are still ways that these preferences can be fit into one. But I feel these roles are family based. Like, for example, now, if I have my own family now, like, I already know that because of my capability or my ability to build myself, or to the extent at which I have built myself, and I tend to build myself to the best that I can be. But in terms of where I've been able to build myself, like, there are some areas or some roles that I can take up that doesn't necessarily have to be gender based. Now, for example, now me now, I don't mind, I can cook. You get, like, cooking should not be a gender role thing, because if I'm able to do it,
Those are survival
I
skills.
can
So
do it. No,
those are
no, I know
survival
those things are survival skills that wait now, for example, like,
It
there are
is
survival
correct.
skills that most guys actually
Don't have.
they don't have, and they have this mentality that it is gender
Gender
based, and I
based, true,
think that
sure.
is something
That we
we
need to
should
clear.
reevaluate and clear out. You get,
Yeah,
for example now, like, for example now, bro, if I for
I just
example
feel
now, you know that green, but for example now, I have a wife that I know, like getting to marry her and meet her, like, I know that she has this career path, or she's this kind of person. And in marriage, you have to ensure that your you guys fit into,
yeah.
like, you are compatible enough. You get, so if I'm compatible with the fact that she does a 9 to 5, and I'm okay with the fact that, okay, I can take care of this, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be, like, it's not gender role based, but it's not something I cannot do. It doesn't mean she's not the one that, as a family, we are going to agree with her, the woman is going to be the one that handles the kitchen, not be me go get kitchen. You get, but I can support because I'm able to. So I'm pointing this out because this thing has over time caused a lot of issues in families. Like, you get, mama no go
So
get chance
so
to cook,
sorry.
it will get the way things stay. They, like,
Okay.
all of those things are, I don't agree that such a thing should be gender role based, because if it's like that, it causes a lot of
Yeah.
problem than it does good. You get, I'm not saying
I
women should not be in charge of their kitchen. I'm not supporting women that you not tell your husband that, now you, if
no
me
no
do,
no
you
no no
do.
no no.
No,
See,
some women are okay with taking care of that
yeah.
aspect. You get, but I'm just saying, we as men, we should not have it at the front of our mind that it should always be like this. And if you are going to say it's going to be like that, doesn't mean it has to be something that is going to be applied in all family. Like, you get, that's why most of these things are flexible. Most of these things
I know.
are
True.
not as static. You
No.
get, that's
So
just me, the point I'm trying to make.